Okay, this is a reaction video. This is Mark Goldbridge. Please click like, share, and subscribe for him as well as for me. Huge Arsenal transfer double. Let's see who he has here. I think he has Rodrigo here. Now, Rodrigo has been linked with Arsenal the past couple days. I'm not, the Arsenal said they were going to make them number one target. I think the tweet by somebody tweeted it out, and they're usually spot on about it. I'm not so sure about this. Because Rodrigo, he's at Real Madrid. He's at the, probably the biggest club in the world right now is Real Madrid. Why would he want to come to Arsenal? Doesn't we'll see what he has to say.
Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest transfer news, and it's Arsenal to start off with. Some big transfer stories around them. Also got bits on Liverpool transfer news, Chelsea transfer news, and a few other bits as well, as Pep Guardiola saying he wants to take an international job. Well, we'll talk about that.
Well, Pep Guardiola wanting to take an international job. I wonder if that has anything to do with the ongoing saga of the Manchester City infractions by the Premier League that still hasn't been rectified.
That if there's time, I'm sure there will be. But let's start off with a story from Fabrizio Romano, actually. Looks like Arsenal are locked in on Sesko. Let us know your thoughts on that. Not just Arsenal fans.
Yeah, it looks like the guy in charge, the director of football, wants Gorkes, but Mikel Arteta is set on Sesko. Again, I don't know if I agree with that, but we'll see.
But other fans as well. Is Sesko the guy that's going to make Arsenal win the title next year? The honest answer is I can see it, but it's probably not where I thought they were going to go. For me, I felt a Gyökeres, an Osimhen. I mean, if you could get a Lewandowski, somebody a little bit more.
I don't think you're going to get a Lewandowski. Gyökeres is still a possibility. That's who the director of football for Arsenal wants, and Osimhen would be fantastic for Arsenal. I think Osimhen would be fantastic, but I don't see that happening. That's going to cost too much money. I think Sesko is it's hard to say.
Experience, where I think Sesko's obviously a little bit less experienced. Could be a bit more pressure on a younger player, but you've got to be fair. You've got to back your manager. I said this about Man United and Bruno. I don't know what people think about Man United keeping Bruno on this channel, by the way. It's been much discussed on the United stand. If you're not a United fan, let us know. Should Man United have cashed in on Bruno for £100 million?
Again, I talked about that on a previous video. With Saeed. It's hard to say. I mean, it really is difficult to say if they should have left Bruno Fernandes to the the Saudi league. But again, that's his decision, and he's entitled to make it, and that's not going to go away, and he knows it.
In the comments, let us know and who you support. But with Sesko and with Bruno, Amorim wanted to keep Bruno. Man United have kept Bruno. You've got to back the manager, and if the manager gets it wrong, they ultimately pay the price. Arteta wanted Sesko in January. He didn't get him. Maybe the new director of football, Bert, has come in and said, I want somebody else, but they look like they're locked in on Sesko. So Fabrizio Romano saying that Arsenal are the only club in concrete talks with Sesko. Liverpool and Man United apparently monitoring it, but Arsenal looking like that's their striker. Let us know your thoughts on that. Also, Rodrigo is apparently going to leave Real Madrid again now. He was, he wasn't, he is. That's where we're at now. Arsenal have been linked in by Sky Sports, saying that Rodrigo, Nico Williams, Morgan Rogers and Leroy Sané all featuring on Arsenal's transfer list. Now, we were talking about this yesterday. Liverpool obviously have done a lot of business. Frimpong, they're working on Wirtz. We'd expect that to happen. Another update from Fabrizio Romano saying with Gyökeres, it will happen. Patience, it will happen. They're also linked to another forward as well, Ekitike. We spoke maybe about an Anthony Gordon shock move. I think Liverpool will go for another attacker. So you have 4 really good signings for Liverpool there. An attacker, Wirtz, Frimpong, Gyökeres.
Yeah, Wirtz scored against Portugal. They lost 2-1, but scored a very nice header goal against Portugal on Wednesday in the Nations League semifinal.
It's exciting for the title holders. Remember, they blitzed the start of the Champions League last year as well. Maybe ran out a bit of energy when they came up against PSG, but that's what they'll be looking to be, strong again next year. But Arsenal, who've started the window a little bit slow.
Now, Zubimende is, from what I understand, is going to be an Arsenal player regardless. I think Sociedad wants to set it on July 1st, so it's on next year's bill. But Zubimende is definitely going to be an Arsenal player. So that's one person that I know Arsenal is I don't want to say, I would say 99.9% sure they're going to get. But Seska, Rodrigo, Williams, we'll see. This is a time where you have to look at Arsenal, and you have I'm an Arsenal fan, obviously. I'll believe it when I see it.
It's still only the 6th of June, and Arsenal and Liverpool don't need to have major rebuilds like some clubs. So it's about adding quality. If Arsenal get that striker in, as we mentioned, but they also bring in Zubimendi, which still looks like it will happen, I think, and then a wide player of the quality of a Rodrigo or a Nico Williams, even a Morgan Rogers. I'm not so sure about Sane. This is really exciting for Arsenal fans, but it's really exciting for the Premier League. What I like about the early stages of this Premier League transfer window so far is that, you've got the money in Saudi, Real Madrid are always going to be an appeal. That youngster from Argentina, Mastantano, who that some Premier League clubs thought they were getting, and then it was PSG, and it will ultimately be Real Madrid. Surprise, surprise. But Real Madrid can do what they want. They can't compete with the vast appeal of the Premier League and the vast number of quality teams we've got trying to win this league. And you look at Arsenal and what they could be adding, and you look at Liverpool and what they're adding, and it's exciting for the Premier League. And also, you will have other clubs doing stuff as well: Chelsea's, Newcastle's, Man City. So I think it's really exciting for the Premier.
Yeah, but to be fair, Mark, I don't think you really want Arsenal to be as good as they look like they're going to become, assuming they get these players. Like I said, Rodrigo, I'll believe it when I see it. Nico Williams, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, even Sesko, I'll believe it when I see it.
Premier League, and look, Arsenal, we know they're going to get a striker, but if they add in, I'll be sleeping on that point a little bit. I think Zubimendi's pure quality, but if they add in a Nico Williams or a Rodrigo, that's improvement again. So I think, look, Arsenal got to win the league next year. I would say that as somebody.
Look, that's what Arteta's trying to do, and that's what Arteta is doing with these players, with these people that he's trying to purchase. If he gets these players, then and he doesn't win the league, then he's going to be gone. Okay, no matter what he's done, finishing second 3 years in a row, he is not going. He needs to win the league. He definitely needs to win the league, or at least win a trophy, win a Champions League, even an FA Cup or a League Cup would get him another year. But he needs a cup. He needs a trophy.
That's been a big advocate about Arteta, but they've got to win the league next year, and they're the sort of signings they want to make. And obviously, with the new director of football, he wants to make those signings and make that impact. So I'd be excited about that. Who would you rather go for? Rodrigo, Nico Williams, Morgan Rogers, Leroy Sané?
Boy, Nico Williams is really, really, really good. I saw him play against France yesterday. He scored a wonderful goal. He is absolutely. Rodrigo. The only person who I would take over Williams would be Rodrigo, and I'm not sure Rodrigo's going anywhere.
I'd be over the moon with Nico Williams or Rodrigo if I was an Arsenal fan. I think they're both very, very talented players. Anyway, we move on. Mentioned Liverpool there. Obviously, Kirkez looks like that's going to happen. No issues with that at all. And obviously, Frimpong's already been done. I think that it's interesting what other clubs are going to do. Chelsea have been linked with the Dortmund winger, Bino Gittins, who is actually English, out in Dortmund. Another younger player for Chelsea. I've spoken to a couple of people around Chelsea in recent months, and
I saw Chelsea play against Arsenal in person at the Emirates Stadium, lost 1-0. They need They need a striker is what they need more than anything else than another wide player.
I do get the feeling that there's not a lot of confidence that Chelsea are going to be competing with Arsenal and Liverpool anytime soon. the model is very much about building a young team, and that young team will grow together and become a work of dominance in maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I've never really seen that be done before. I think in some ways Man United were looking at that strategy, and I don't know that works, because
that works in the NFL. I don't know if it works in the English Premier League, because I've seen teams do that successfully in the NFL, but I've never seen teams do it really in the Premier League.
And you hold on to these players like Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer in a year or so when bigger clubs might look at them. But I do still think that Chelsea need a bit of experience in there, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see. Newcastle seem to be a bit like a rabbit in the headlights at the moment. I did want to just focus on some other clubs and get your thoughts on it. Newcastle just seem a little bit like you get the Champions League, you have a good season, and the most important thing for Newcastle is to be back in the Champions League this time next year. Well, probably not going to win it, so you've got to put yourself in the top 4 or 5 again. It would be perfect for them, but Man United still obviously have that appeal, thankfully. Where else do Newcastle go? Like, I think they need 3.
Look, Newcastle had a successful season. I think they finished 5th place, made the Champions League, and they also and luckily got in there, even though they lost to Everton last game of the season. And they won the League Cup over Liverpool at Wembley. And a game, there were 2 games. I was at the Arsenal-Chelsea game, and at the hotel I was at, there were Newcastle fans there going to the League Cup. When I made it back to the hotel room, I was able to see Liverpool lose to Newcastle 2-1. Fantastic win for Newcastle. So that was a successful season for them.
4 really good players going into that club, and I'm sure Guehi from Crystal Palace will be a target, but they feel like they're going to get swamped again with games and drop out the top 5 if they don't utilise a good transfer window. Aston Villa, again, look, what are they going to do? They missed out on Champions League football. Can they go again? Manchester City, of course, look, we have to wait and see what happens with the court case. I think interestingly though with Man City, I did say I'd mention about Pep Guardiola and an international job. He was speaking about that, obviously committing himself to Manchester City. I thought he would leave this summer, by the way. I think the plan was to go, but he's saying that this will be his last club job, and that if an international job came up, he would like to manage in the World Cup or a Euros or a Copa America. So obviously that may be the next step. And
that would be interesting to see who if he goes to an international club, who he'd go to. Obviously Spain, but Spain have a good manager, and they're in the Euro Nations League final. It'd be interesting to see.
For Pep, but it's hard to judge what Man City will do next season. I mean, I think De Bruyne will be a big player that they will miss. We've seen this season that Haaland can be kept quiet. Obviously, they're looking at another set of young, new players. I still think they've got the new players from January to settle in, people like Mamouche. So I don't see Man City there next year. I think it's a new Man City. And the interesting thing with Man City, regardless of the case, will be, can Pep rebuild a team in the way that Sir Alex Ferguson used to rebuild a team? And I'm not so sure. I think Liverpool and Arsenal, to me, look miles ahead at the moment, and the transfer window has been very much led by those two at the moment. And I think that it's going to be exciting to see just what other clubs try and do, because I'm not putting my side United in the top 4, but
you guys have done some interesting business so far, but I don't think you guys are in the top 5 or 6. I think you may be 7th next year.
Doing okay at the moment. After Liverpool and Arsenal, we're doing okay for where we are. I mean, look at Spurs. We mentioned them yesterday with Ange. Look at Spurs, like £4 million to sack him apparently. Basically, he's sacked. I don't know what they're waiting for.
I have to think. Ange, may have bought himself some time with that Europa League. Look, let's face it. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The Europa League final was a poor game. It was a poorly played game, no matter how you look at it. But Tottenham has had one team's number this entire year, okay, and that's Manchester United. They played them 4 times, 4 wins, okay? That's simple. 4 times, 4 wins. And they were fortunate that they played Manchester United in the final and were able to beat them, and they got a European Cup. But again, I don't know what they're waiting for either. Because once you get by the Europa League and win that title, you still have the Champions League, which is a step higher, and you also have the Premier League, which you came in 17th place in.
if they keep him, they're just echoing what Man United did. It's still early in the window, but I think there's a lot of clubs that would need to do a lot. Liverpool and Arsenal just need to add little bits. But I think your Chelseas, your Manchester Uniteds, your Tottenhams, your Villas, your Newcastles, and I feel like I'm missing somebody out somewhere. There's considerable work that needs
Probably your Brentfords and your Bournemouths.
to be done, and at the moment, some of them just seem to be a little bit stalling. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But what I will say is, remember, Arsenal also signed Gabriel to another contract.
Yeah, they got Gabriel, the defender. He was scheduled to. I just got news. Ange Postecoglou sacked by Tottenham. Okay, there we go. He has been sacked. Okay, so that I just got that information right now on the phone as I'm looking at it. But Ange Postecoglou is sacked by Tottenham. Okay, so that which is a smart move, in my opinion. But nonetheless, we'll see.
Contract. I think that's it's a bit of a club-specific thing, and even as an Arsenal fan, you might be like, well, he's a current player, but that's still.
Yeah, but Gabriel signs another. He's I think he was scheduled to end his contract was supposed to end in 2027, but now he's extended to 2029, which is good. I like Gabriel.
A really good signing to keep him, because I think he was arguably, up until the injury, one of your better players. So things looking good for Arsenal. Rodrigo, Nico Williams would be incredible signings. And it looks like you're locked in on Sesko. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on the video. I will speak to you on the next one. Thanks.
Okay, that's Mark Goldbridge, huge Arsenal transfer double. Please click like, share, and subscribe for him as well as for me. Look, as far as Williams and Rodrigo is concerned, I'll believe that when I see it. Okay, I think Sesko is, again, that's who the manager wants. That's who he's going to get. I would like Yorkaz better, but fair enough. Sesko, it would be the player. We'll see how that all pans out. But again, please click like, share, and subscribe for Mark Goldbridge, as well as for me, and have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.